Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Gamer Logic. I'm Mike Murtis, Unleaded Logic, and today we're going to get right into business here. What I have in my hands right now is the SNES PowerPak, which is from RetroZone, retrousb.com. And essentially what this is a Super NES flash cart that works with a compact flash that enables you to load the ROMs into the actual compact flash, put it in actual SNES hardware, and boot the thing up. So it is definitely pretty cool, and I want to go ahead and shut the camera down for a bit and show you guys a couple of different examples of the games that it plays, how you get it loaded up, and a few other things. And when we're finished with that, we will come back to the main review here, but for now, take a look at a couple of things and I'll see you in a bit. Okay guys, so this is an example of the actual card itself. It is very well designed, very well made, very decent looking. As you can see, it even has its own label on it, which is cool. And basically, the developer designed something that would allow you to use a compact flash card to load your ROMs, SNES ROMs, onto the cart, and that just goes right into the top of the unit like so. And bam, there you go. You now have the flash cart plugged into the NES PowerPak. Now for this next part, I want to show you how easy it is to load it into the actual Super Nintendo system. As you can probably imagine, it's pretty simple. Now do note that this cart does work on the original SNESs, and it also works on the clones such as the FC Dual and the other FC consoles that are available. It should also work on the Nintendo, Super Nintendo Genesis clone systems as well, but I don't think that's verified. But it will not work on Super Nintendo Minis, so keep that in mind. If you have the second revision of the Super Nintendo, which was a smaller version, it will not work. So, what we do, take this, pop this in, pop in your flash cart with the contents, at least on mine, facing towards the label. Pop that in, turn on your power, and it loads up right away. And let me turn the camera off for a second and I'll show you the actual video display that you get with this when you power it on. Okay guys, this may be a little hard to see, so I apologize if you can't see it completely, but for the most part you should get the general idea. So as I just showed you in my previous example, I popped the cartridge in, popped the flash card in, and turned it on. This is what actually pops up on screen when you get there. And there we go. The Super NES PowerPak with the most recent boot ROM and card ROMs, which you get from retrousb.com. Now, it may be a little hard to read, but on the bottom there it says DSP-1 installed. The DSP chip is required for certain games, and you can actually have this installed optionally. It's not required, but if you don't have it, you can't play certain games like Super Mario Kart and a few other ones. The whole compatibility and incompatibility list is up. So what I do here is I hit A, and it'll bring up my directory of PowerPak. And there's a couple of things on here. There's an SDRAM test and a DSP test. I have a ROMs directory, and I have an owned and not owned. And the owned is pretty much a list of every physical copy of a game that I own in my actual library. So it's kind of nice again to just have one cart and have all the games on here, so I don't necessarily have to dig out all the games, or if I move around or whatever, I have them all. So yeah, these are all physically owned games that I actually have. And just to show you an example, that's a game I actually own. Let's pick a game here. Let's go with let's Demon Crest. So I select my game, I hit A. Now what's cool is I can actually bring up a Game Genie here. So if I want to enter the Game Genie codes, it's built right in. I don't need the Game Genie. I'm not going to put any codes in here, so I'm just going to hit Start Game. It's going to copy the game to the actual memory in the cart, and here we go. So as you can see, it was a quick process. The game I loaded up was Demon's Crest, and we are already up and ready to go, which is pretty awesome. Welcome back guys. Okay, so as you can see, I showed you what the cart looks like, how to load the actual memory card into the cart, how it boots up the games, and what the menu screen looks like. I'm sure a few of you have a couple questions on how you actually connect the cartridge or the memory card to the actual computer, and again, it uses compact flash. So you actually have to have a compact flash reader on your PC. If not, you can buy one. And you can actually buy one from Retro USB as well, along with the compact flash cart. Now, if you have your own compact flash cart and your own memory card reader, you're going to have to get something that's called the boot mappers and another portion that is required to make the cartridge run. And those are updated on a fairly regular basis. And those, again, are available at retrousb.com. You go to that, you get those loaders, and you're told how to actually load it onto the actual memory card. And that is the kind of operating system, if you will, that makes the cartridge work. So after that's done, you put your ROMs in there. Now, they can't be zipped. At least from what I can tell, they cannot be zipped. They have to be uncompressed SMC or the proper SNES ROM files. So you have to unzip them and throw them on the memory card. The cartridge itself doesn't do it in alphabetical order when you put them on, and that's because it would take too much processing power and it would just slow things down. He also recommends as a developer that you only put so many ROMs in a directory. Now, I happen to take my entire SNES library, which is 137 games, and take the ROMs of that and put it in one directory, and it ran pretty fast. It didn't run slow at all. As you could see, I was scrolling right through it. I could probably see it getting slowed down if you're trying to load like the entire SNES library in one directory. So you can break it out, and there's programs out there that let you break it out into like an A, B, C, D, E, F, G kind of deal. But it's really simple. I mean, I got this thing, and I had my ROMs and my games playing on the Super NES in 10 minutes. And it's really nothing to get it going. And the cartridge works great, the hardware works good. There are some known bugs and compatibility issues. Of course, those are listed on the website, and I mentioned a few of them in the explanation video. But really a fantastic product. Right now, I believe it's retailing for $135. That may not be completely accurate, so please check at Retro USB. But it is well worth the money if you're a beginning collector and you want to play these games on actual hardware, and you'd like to buy the actual physical games eventually, but you're really not sure what you want to try out and if it's worth it. Or if you're like me, one of the reasons I wanted to use this is I have a giant game library, and occasionally I take Super NES and Super NES games out to work sites when I'm going out of state for work trips. And what's nice is I can take this and just take my Super Nintendo or my clone system and load these games right on here and not have to worry about getting a game in a hotel room or something like that. And the second biggest reason is there's a lot of Japanese games that never made it out to America that fans have translated, like Secret of Mana 3, and the big one for me especially is the very first Clock Tower. It was never released here in America, and it has a lot of the backstory that the American version of Clock Tower didn't have, because the American version of Clock Tower was actually Clock Tower 2. They almost pulled like a Final Fantasy deal. So that was one of the main reasons I wanted to check this out, was because I wanted to load Super Famicom games that were translated. I mean, nothing's harder than getting a Super Famicom game and not being able to play it because you can't read Japanese, which unfortunately I'm not up to speed on my Japanese. So another good reason to use this. And again, I know there's a lot of people, there's a black and white line between people who say ROMs are wrong and ROMs are right, and I'm not going to get into that because that's not for me to judge. I mean, they're old games, you play them the way you want, that's my opinion. But overall, a highly, highly recommended product if you have an original Super Nintendo and you want to get a hold of a bunch of games and try them out, or if you just want to make it easy for your collection, or if you want to try out some import stuff. It does have a 5-year warranty on it. So if anything does happen to this thing, that makes no sense, but whatever. If anything does happen to this, it is backed by a 5-year warranty. You send the card in, they'll replace it, and of course any mappers or boot mappers are updated constantly, so you can constantly update this cart. And you know, this guy also did an NES PowerPak that worked pretty well. I borrowed it from a friend and tried it out and thought it was pretty cool, but this is awesome and highly recommended. So I give it a 5 out of 5. Definitely pick it up if you're a collector, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm certainly going to over Thanksgiving weekend. I'm Unleaded Logic Mike Burtis, and I give this a 5 out of 5. Join us for another episode of Gamer Logic soon. Take it easy, guys.